Alan, thanks for sitting down with me today. Great to see you.
As well.
Alan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Sure. I've been involved in the seed business, or my family has been, since 1864, so I'm the 5th generation Hirsch, and I'm responsible for the consumer products division of Barenburg, USA, which is the North American affiliate of the Royal Barenburg Group from Holland.
Excellent. Huge company.
Worldwide, we're the leaders in turf and forage.
Right. And this is the time of the year when everyone in North America wants to have the perfect lawn. Alan, would you agree?
Sure.
They don't necessarily know how to do it. They don't necessarily know the capabilities of what your company can bring to market. And as I understand it, one of your responsibilities is to figure out what they're looking for and how you can help them with that. What's Barenburg got in the pipeline? What innovative new offering are you going to have to the consumers of North America?
Well, I think you can put them in a couple of technological categories. Right now we have the first rhizomatous tall fescue, which allows for replicating the turf, which fills in bare spots, takes care of challenges in the mainly transition zone, but lately it's been creeping north as water becomes a greater problem. These are all drought-resistant varieties. It allows the consumer to actually have less maintenance while still having a fairly good-looking turf. This would be more in the backyard kind of area rather than the front yard, where we in the north, in the cool season area, think of bluegrass and perennial rye blends as the place to go. In addition, we have the first salt-tolerant grasses to come out that will be used either at the curbside to take care of that winter damage in the Midwest and Northeast, or for pets. You know, urine is the big problem. It kills lawns, and this will stay live during the place where the pet goes.
Okay, right. Which are big deals.
Which are big deals.
That has a huge impact. So the grass seed sector, like every portion of the seed industry, has some challenges. Can you talk about maybe 3 key challenges that your particular sector is looking at?
Having an orderly marketplace is necessary in the medium to long term. We're also losing acreage to alternative crops in the primary growing areas, and that's a concern in the long term. I wouldn't be surprised that more and more acres go to the upper Midwest and out of Oregon in the next 5 years, 10 years. And then I think real damage is being done by not having significant enough margins to support research. We as an industry, if you take a look again at the medium long term, need to invest in research, need to come up with new varieties that offer the consumers the things that they're going to need in the future: more drought tolerance, more disease resistance, things we haven't thought of, like the salt-loving grass that we've caught. That won't be possible if our industry doesn't produce significant margin enhancement that will afford us to do that research.
So the $60 million question, how do we do that, Alan? What are some things that the industry could do to have an impact on exactly that topic?
Well, I think at first it goes back to the land grant schools that have overproduced for their needs for royalties varieties. You know, you have midnight bluegrasses and they've got significant 60, 70 grandchildren, and that's just too many. We need to get our research departments to come up with these varieties and to selectively license them out that provide them with royalties, but allow the real seed companies to produce products that can give it to the consumer and afford better margins. Because when you are competing with 100 different varieties of perennial rye or bluegrass or turf type tall fescues, there isn't a significant difference in the varieties that afford you the margins that a retailer or a consumer would pay for.
Right. Alan, cities and states are now monitoring water usage. They're focused in on it. They're paying a lot of attention to it. Can you talk a little bit about your take on that, and then what's Barenburg doing to address that?
Well, my take, especially if you take a look at California as the example, is that the Environmentalist is really, I was going to say screwed up. The Environmentalist is really uninformed. When you put out AstroTurf as an example on a football field, it is 40 to 50 degrees warmer than on turf. The turf provides oxygen that is vital to the needs. It is cooler. It actually supports the ground, and the funny part about it is they've done tests in California. When consumers put rock gardens out as against turf, they're actually 8 decibels louder than having the turf. It's significantly cooler having the turf. It's better for the environment to have turf than it is to have rock gardens and natural landscapes, as they call them. In actuality, our turf today can support 30% less water than previously. That amount of water is significant savings and should be used in the environment to have good turf.
Right. That I don't think most of the world knows most of that information, Alan. And so what, in every segment of the seed sector, we're trying to figure out how to educate the public. We're trying to get the information into the public's hands so that they make wise buying decisions, they make wise environmental decisions. How are you guys tackling that? How do we get this message out to the consumer?
Well, you know, it's an interesting challenge for us because we put it on the package. We put this on the back of the bag and we highlight it with the key bullet points on the front of the package. But we go back to your original question, what are the 3 challenges? And that third challenge, we need sufficient margins to afford good research. Well, we need those same margins to afford to have the funds to educate. The challenge in California is the voice of the environmentalist is so significant, and the media, you go and listen to those things and regurgitate them to the public, where when we go and say the same thing to the state legislators, or when we say them, they just don't get out as much. So we need to spend significant amounts on this kind of thing, but we don't have the funds to support it. So it's a real challenge, and one our industry really needs to face, and we haven't done as good a job. It's one of the true functions of the American Seed Trade Association, and they do a pretty good job informing legislators, informing the Congress, but we just haven't done the proper job of informing the public.
Right. And that's no small task.
No, it isn't.
It's really not. Any strategies that you've come across that you think have been valuable that the industry is taking on right now, especially as it relates to the grass side, that is moving the needle, that is educating the public?
Well, I think we're just now facing this reality. We're too many years behind the 8 ball, but we have organizations that are working towards developing better varieties that are drought resistant, and B, starting to publicize this. So we're not there yet, but there's at least the recognition in the industry, and groups are being formed to start to do that.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to ask you to look into the future now a little bit, and what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years that gets you excited, Alan? What's the next thing?
Wow, what a great question. I think that we at Barenburg are spending a significant amount of our annual sales on what I call pure research. Looking for things, wear tolerance. Every variety that we're coming up with is being wear tested. We've done the new species that are that will be salt tolerant. We're working on some things to maybe to allow only having to cut a lawn 3 or 4 times a summer. The problem that we have is you ask your question, what do it look like in the next 3 to 5 years? Well, the variety that our research division is coming up with right today is 10 years at the earliest to come up with. So it's exciting, it's bright, but it's 10 years off.
10 years and a big price tag.
And a big price tag.
Right, yeah. These are not simple ideas that we're talking about here. These are complex solutions to complex issues, and I think that you guys are very well positioned to be able to come up with some of those solutions, and I appreciate you taking the time to share some of that with me today, Alan.
My pleasure.